Alright, looks like we are live. Okay, I hope you guys are able to hear me, and if you're seeing this video, I'm gonna try and do some anime eyes on stream today, so hopefully it goes well. Let's see, and yeah, I'm looking forward to having you guys in here. So to start with, we are going to need a UV sphere, which is somewhat like this. I'm going to do right click, shade smooth, just to make sure that we have some basic setup for our eye. Okay. So once we have this, let's move to our shading tab. We're gonna do new, and today I want to create a snake eye, right? So let's see, snake eye. I'm gonna name it that. I'll just delete this, and to start all eyes, we're gonna follow the same process that I've shown you in a video before, but let me go through it from scratch here, right? So I'm gonna go to texture coordinate, and let's go and take the UV coordinate here, right? Then let's do length. Let's plug this in here, and we see it's completely weird at this point, right? So let's fix that. The first thing I'll do is I'll do some UV unwrapping. So I'm gonna go to UV editing, make sure we are in the rendered view so that I can see what's happening, and I am going to do U and project from view, right? And then I can just do A and scale it a little bit, and now I can see that. Hopefully you cannot see that's because we need a color ramp here. Let's plug this in. Let's do constant, and you can see that the circle is somewhat here, right? We don't want that, so let's duplicate the length, and let's change it to add. I'm gonna plug this here, and I'm gonna add 0.5. Okay, maybe minus 0.5 on both sides, right? Now everything's black, so let's make sure it's smaller right here. Okay, now it seems like it's in the center, right? So we've got the basic of our eye. I want the eye to be somewhat this big, and I'm gonna duplicate this again and change it to, let's say, multiply, and now I can just use this to control the scale of my eye, right? So that's great. Let me actually bring this here so that I know if someone's watching. Okay, looks like nobody's here, but that's fine. We are just going to I'm just creating it because I have to add new eyes in the add-on that I have created before, which is currently live, by the way. You can go and buy that, but I want to be able to create a few animal eyes, if that makes sense, right? So I'm going to start with a snake eye, and that's what we're going to do today. So let's see. So we've got the base of it here, and I've got some references, so I'm gonna move them on the x-axis, and we'll keep looking at them, right? So because it's very helpful to have references when you're making it. So if you look at it, basically first there is a border on your eye, right? So let's click on this. Let's first make sure that we have every basic setting in place. So I'm going to change this to multiply, and this will basically have my overall scaling of my eye, right? If I want to go ahead and have the entire eye scaled together. So this entire thing can now go into a group node. So I'm going to do Control G, and let's bring in the scale. So let's name it, let's name it position. I'm gonna take the second one, plug this here. This is my vector scale actually, and this one would be my overall scale, right? So I'm gonna name this node group eye coordinates. right? So let's go back. Now we've got this nice group that we can use multiple times to create multiple sections of array, right? And it's going to be very useful very soon, and you'll see that. But now that we have the basic area of array, let's go ahead and add a few more details here, right? So let's just duplicate this and duplicate this node, and we're going to use this as the base of the vector for our Voronoi texture. So like if you look at the eye here closely, there are multiple straight lines that are going in, right? And in order to create those straight lines, we need a Voronoi texture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in a Voronoi texture here. I'm going to plug in the distance and plug this in. Now what we need to do is bring in a mapping node and plug this in here. We'll change it from this to normal, right? And change the Z scale to 0. Now you can't see anything at this point, and there is a reason behind that. So let's go back here. Let's do 0 here. Let's also duplicate this color ramp. Let's see if you can see something. Oops. Don't make a mistake. Let's delete this. Let's also delete this. I'm gonna directly do it. Plug this in here. Let's change this to normal, and let's change this to 0. And it's very weird, so let's increase this. It's gonna go up, and normalize now. Let me actually check what I did in the old one. Procedural anime eye. And again, I don't remember everything every time, so I just need to make sure that I'm not doing anything wrong here. Oops. It's gonna take a second to load because I've got like a potato PC. So let's click here. This. Here it is. I think it is correct. I'm not sure what's happening here. Let's go to UV editing. Check from view. Scale. Triangle. It's very weird. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Oh. Oh, I'm taking the, okay, I think I messed up. I was taking the UV coordinate, I should take the object coordinate. And there we go. There we have our pattern that we are looking for. So if it doesn't make sense to you, can you see there are straight lines that are going directly towards the center, and that's what we're trying to aim for, right? So since we have this pattern now, we are going to mix it a little bit with the noise texture. So let's also bring in a noise texture here, and I'm going to add a mix RGB node, so mix color, and let's plug this in here, plug this in here, and let's plug this in here. So now it's way too much, and that's not what we want. So let's bring this down a little bit, and also we're gonna reduce the noise. Now this doesn't work, so let's try color burn. Maybe, what did I try here? Linear light. Okay, let's do linear light. Okay, now I know it doesn't look like much at this point, and there is a reason behind that. So let's first of all reduce this by a lot. Let's bring this here. Yeah. Now, since we have created a mask here, right, what we're going to do is we're gonna use mix RGB again. So mix RGB, let's plug this here, and actually I'm gonna use this as a mask. So yeah, there we go. So let's bring this up. All right. So now with this we can control the pattern, and with this we can basically control the mask, right? So let's say I want my eyes to be this big, okay, and also currently keeping it at constant is giving me very rough patterns. But if I look at my reference here, it's a little bit of a gradient, right? So I'm gonna go back and try and create a gradient. So let's do ease. That's too soft, so let's bring this in here and bring this out. Noise is still too much for me, so I'm gonna try and let's see if we can reduce it. Let's go 0, then that's not cool. Maybe I'll increase it. And again, don't be afraid to try different blending modes, because that they can give you different results depending on what you're trying to do, right? So, and guys, you can tell me actually if you're able to hear me properly or not, right? So actually I'll go back to linear light. Let's reduce this. Let's bring this to around, let's say 5. 5 is too less. Okay, let's move on to the next step. Maybe we'll get a little bit more clarity then. So I'm gonna try and create the pupil here, right? This, what you see in the center. For that, what we'll do is we'll just duplicate this setup, and we'll bring this in here with the mix node, obviously, and I'm gonna use this as a factor. And just hold on one second. Alright, sorry about that, guys. Okay, so hopefully you can see this. There is a center eye that's coming up, which is cool. Alright, let's also give it a green color so that we can see it better, right? So let's see. Let's try and change this. Okay, now we're getting closer to our reference, which is great. Increase it actually. I don't know why this is still not working correctly. Should pretty much give me. Is this correct? Okay. So it should be. I'm gonna go back to my other one just to make sure that I'm not doing anything wrong. So let's go here. So Control H. 0.1 is what I'm using. Okay. Maybe mix factor is too much. What else am I doing wrong? Let's go one. Okay, cool. It's green and brown, so let's also do that. It's too much. It's okay, guys, we're gonna get there slowly. Alright, so and that's what the purpose of the stream is. Like, we're gonna get there slowly. We're gonna try to create this and hopefully create something that we all like. So I'm gonna duplicate this again, and this time let's again plug this into the factor, and I don't want this, so let's make it 1, right? And let's make sure it's this scale. Now basically I'm just creating the outer border, right? Okay, so I have the outer border in place. We're getting closer, not quite there yet though. Let's see. Okay. Still not really on board with this. I don't know why I'm not getting a oh, there we go. Okay, this is looking much better. All right, so let's actually try and make this darker. Too stretched, so let's try and Okay, so the outer border, I'm gonna try and change it to ease, just so that, okay, looks very bad right now, so let's try and increase that a little. Okay, it looks so much better. Wow. I think linear should be fine. I'm doing something wrong, I just don't know. Oh, there we go. Let me create this first. I just okay, so I think one way we can deal with this, so like the entire thing went black, right? So one way we can deal with this is just duplicate this again, and what we'll do is we'll just take our original mask that we created and plug this in here, right? And doesn't work, and that's because, let's change this to white, and there we go. So basically now let's not touch this section at all, and anything that we'll add before this, right? So for example, actually if I increase this, it will increase the size of my eye. So once I've done with that, let's come back here. This is my pupil. I also want to just change this to, let's say, ease, and now increase the size of it, makes it look much better, and also connected, right? So yeah, we're getting closer to the snake eye now. Okay, so another unique thing that I would say for anime eyes is, first, what makes it looks realistic is basically the reflection that you see here at the top. So they basically draw the reflections, which makes it look like it's a real eye when it is not. And what I've also learned is that along with that, what additional thing that adds to the reality is basically just adding gradients and stuff like that, right? So like, let me actually show you. And like, for example, I can just increase or reduce the pattern, and that creates something so cool, right? And you can add more noise to it, less noise, whatever you think is right. And if you want more control here, you can also do this. And there's just so much that you can do with this, right? So much. Alright, we are very close to completing it. Let me actually see if I can increase this a bit more. Okay. Alright, now it's time to add the reflections, right? And to add the reflection again, I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to add a color ramp. Let's bring this in. Let's duplicate this, but this time we're going to use add, and we're going to use this factor, and let's make it white. Split this again, let's bring this smaller. So now if you see, this works like a reflection, right? So let's make this wider and somewhat like this. Let's bring it a little bit up here. Okay. Now if you notice here, the reflection is half cut, right? But it is still a circle, but it's just sliced in half. And one way we can do that is take this, duplicate this, right? And then we're going to duplicate this as well and just use maybe subtract. Let's see, subtract, and just use the factor. I hope I'm doing it right. Okay, yeah. So let's change the position here. And also the scale, actually. Just to be, yep. There we go. Let's bring this a little bit down though. Okay. Let's also bring this down. And let's bring this down. So now if you see, it's working as a reflection. Obviously it's a little harsh right now, so I think I would let it be harsh. Right, so we are getting closer and closer to the snake eye. So see anything else that we can do. Since this is the border of things, I can then just take this, plug this in here, and take this pattern and plug this in here, and maybe use a color burn. Let's see what we get. Right, if I put it completely over here, and if I do this, not a lot of difference. Okay, maybe that's because we're doing this. Let's do saturation 0, saturation 0, and saturation 0. Yeah, if you see, now the borders are blending in with the eye, right? And that's exactly what I was looking for. So let's make it a little darker. There we go. So we can also like bring this here to match the pattern. There we go. I guess gonna bring this out a little bit. Okay, there we go. So let's see. And now let's basically click on add. I'm gonna add minus 0.5, minus 0.6. Okay. And here I'm going to add minus 0.580. So let's put this here, and I'm basically going to use my XYZ actually to now move both of these together, right? So since I have created this, let's move it up and down a little bit here, Maybe I can increase this now. Okay. Right, very close. We can repeat the same process, by the way, that we have done here with the pupil. Wherever we are mixing the pupil, I think we are doing it here. So let's do the same thing, right? Let's bring this here. Let's bring this here. And now the pupil basically should be blending with, yeah, should be blending with the pattern, right? So and also we want to create a bright spot, right? So I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna try and use this to, yep, there we go. Very difficult to adjust it. Okay, there is a bright spot, but it has reduced everything into darkness, and I don't like that. So maybe I'll just create it separately, it's fine. Okay, so here I think it depends on what kind of reflection that you guys want to create, right? And again, I'm just using the reference here. You can create different kinds of reflections, like the square here. It just totally depends on what kind of what kind of mood you're trying to set, right? So you can create more reflections similarly. So I'm gonna keep this separate here, and let's bring this here. Let's just duplicate this, and also let's duplicate these, and I'll plug this here, right? And I'll take this, move this down, just maybe create another reflection right here. Okay, so I'll just reduce the overall scale. Bring this here, here. There we go. All right, I think that should be good enough for the snake eye. I hope you learned something from this video, and maybe you can apply it in your own project using this. And again, there's so much more that you can do. I have not even covered the entire thing, but if you think live stream like these would be helpful for you and I should create more of these, let me know. Oh wow, this was completely unexpected. Yeah, make sure to let me know. I would love to do live streams like these while I'm creating my add-ons, so that even you can learn and I can also create products that are beneficial for you in the future. So I guess I'm gonna leave it at that. Hopefully you like this video. If you did, don't forget to drop a like. I'm gonna end the live stream right here, but we were able to create something very cool, and I'm very happy with that. So yeah, I'm going to see you in the next one. Thank you for everyone who has joined this live stream. Appreciate you, and okay, bye.